All of my uncles and one aunt on my dad's side died. My dad's the only one who's still around. And the only reason that is because he was a bodybuilder in the 80s and an alcoholic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
children, steroids and alcohol do not mix. Do not do that. So he had... I got to a point too. In some of the private groups I'm involved in, the men's self-development groups, there we have our private signal chats, and it's all about alcohol or substance abatement. And there are some guys that have had problems with drinking. I'd put myself in that camp too. I didn't realize I had a drinking problem at the time. It wasn't until COVID where I literally had 2 full generations of my dad's side of the family just carved out. So my grandma and grandpa, alcoholics, died. All of my uncles and one aunt on my dad's side died. My dad's the only one who's still around. And the only reason that is because he was a bodybuilder in the 80s and an alcoholic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
children, steroids and alcohol do not mix. Do not do that. So he had
Big red flag.
He had dual renal failure back when he was about my age. I'm 35. I think he was 38 when he had dual renal failure. He's been on dialysis since. Just not a very fun existence. And but fortunately, that got him off the alcohol. So he just smokes a ton of weed for the pain management now. But for me, especially during COVID, again, I was using weed to get more into the spiritual side of myself. I saw very clearly that there are 2 paths to go down. So in my family on both sides, half of them are like super fitness type people. They eat super healthy. They self-care. Like they're really into that. They live to 100 years old without a problem. No arthritis, no cognitive decline issues or anything like that. It's just they live good, happy, wholesome, healthy lives. The other half, the ones that choose to drink, they die before they're 60 and in a very horrible fashion. So for me, the answer is pretty clear when it came to drinking. Like I am not going to drink anymore. I'll still enjoy like a whiskey or 2 if I go out, but the longer it's been since I stopped drinking, I've noticed that it doesn't really have an effect on me, again, because I think I have that alcoholic gene. If I can throw them back and feel fine, and then the next day I wake up at like 3 p.m. and just feel like I'm in absolute physical hell. So I don't really see the point in drinking anymore. If I need it for the social benefits, then I'll take like a hit or 2 off of a vape pen of, again, that like sunny social sativa type strain. And and just stay away from alcohol. So there's a couple of guys that have stayed with me recently where they're like absolutely no alcohol. They're really into, where are we going to go? Do they have non-alcoholic drinks? Or, what am I going to do? And I noticed, I'm like, all right, so they're not drinking alcohol, which is good. If you have a problem, please stay away from it. But they're still giving a lot of mental energy to the substance. So it still kind of has control over them. And I didn't really, I realized.
How long have they been off it?
One guy. Yeah, one guy, it's like 15 years, and the other guy 5 or 6 years or so. But they both have their stories too. But one of the guys, he has a twin brother, and the twin brother got really into crime, and now he's serving a life sentence in jail. And then my friend, he's a successful real estate investor. He's just getting out of the market. He's like, hey, I've got a couple $1 million. I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll move to Mexico and start a family. So same thing I kind of experienced. There's 2 paths to take, and the answer is pretty clear, at least in his family history. Like, he grew up in a real rough environment. He's like, in my family history, I can either be a gangbanger and spend the rest of my life in jail, or I can be a multimillionaire by the time I'm 40 and retire early and explore the world. I'm like, oh, okay. So for him, that made sense. The other guy, I think he got way too into it. He was in like a hardcore rock band and traveled all over the place and probably got into that type of lifestyle. I never got to that point with alcohol. Really, at my point of peak use, it's because I had so many negative things going on in my life. I just wanted the escape at that point. I wasn't using it therapeutically. It was really just to shut out the noise. And the noise doesn't go away. It was really just to shut myself down so I can escape from it, which is not the healthiest way of doing it. One thing I've noticed too is that substances have a different effect on you based on your internal state. So when I'm really, really depressed and I have a drink, it feels so good. But everything's going really well for me now in life. So when I have a drink, I'm like, oh, now I feel like shit. Like, I don't even get a buzz. Like my eyes start blurring. I start getting a headache. If I have a couple of drinks, I'll start slurring and stuttering and stammering my speech. And in terms of dating, like alcohol ruins my game. So I don't game with alcohol, even if I do that. So yeah, it's one of those things where, be careful. Obviously the abatement side is good, but make sure you're not giving too much power to the substance in terms of like, I can never touch it. Can't have alcohol on my site. Oh my God, it's Christmas time. They're having eggnogs or hot buttered rum. I have to remove myself from the room. Like, it still has power over you if you find yourself in that camp.
Yeah, I think you almost gotta train yourself to be around it. Like just like with dating or anything, you got to step into that discomfort a bit. And like when I go on a date, I'll go to like a really nice like cafe bar, and I'll just get a club soda and lime. And
Yep.
it looks like I have a drink. I'm getting hydrated, so it's like a win-win. No one cares at all, and then usually it starts a good conversation because they're like, "Oh, why don't you drink?" etc. And at first, though, that was a little uncomfortable. I was like, oh man, they're gonna think I'm like weird because I don't drink, and they're gonna, and maybe they do internally, but who cares? So yeah, it's definitely important to get out there and kind of immerse yourself. Like don't hide from the real world, because there's a lot of great stuff in life to experience.